stop, don't blink. If a midnight push alert pings your phone in the next hour, it won't be about weather or traffic on I-75. It'll be the roster jolt that tilts an entire season. Picture Ford Field's lights cooling to a blue hum, staffers rolling carts down empty corridors, and somewhere behind a security door, a conversation tightening like a wrench. Do we gamble now, or wait and risk the fall? That's the knife edge the Detroit Lions are standing on tonight. One call away from either shoring up a contender's spine or letting a fine crack run through the steel of a team built for January. You can feel it in your ribs. The city's heartbeat just skipped. Here's the pact. In the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you right up to the threshold without kicking it in. I'll map the pressure points, secondary health, edge depth, a veteran wideout's throttle, protection packages up front, and how those pieces either fuse into a playoff machine or rattle apart under NFC North weather. I'll lay out what's solid, what's probable, and what's just locker room smoke. No cheap drama, only the kind that matters on 3rd and 7 with 1:58 left. But the headline, we save it for after the intro. You're watching Lions News Fan Report. Hit subscribe, drop a like if you bleed Honolulu blue, and ring that bell so you don't miss the next audible from Allen Park. This community isn't background noise. It's the chorus behind a 4th and 1. Detroit football isn't delicate. It's built like the River Rouge. Heat, weight, repetition. We've lived the roller coaster, the rush of Barry's cuts like film spliced too fast for the eye, the hollow echo when a generational star walks away. The seasons where almost became a lullaby you hated yourself for knowing by heart. Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes didn't arrive promising Polish. They promised a weld that holds. Identity first, pad level, leverage, gap integrity, protection with bad intentions, run fits that translate in January, and an offense that steals your breath in the red zone, not your hope at midfield. That's the backdrop as preseason dust settles and the regular season stares back like a bar mirror at last call. The difference between loud and real is tiny, about the width of a right guard's hand placement or a safety's first step out of his pedal. Now, the news straight, then layered. Detroit is actively managing the health of a starting caliber defensive back, the center fielder who turns deep shots into punts of frustration. The building phrase, and its deliberate, managed workload. Not panic, not IR managed. On offense, a trusted veteran wideout has throttled up full-speed drills, contesting catches, red zone timing resynced, nudging a hungry receiver room into a daily street fight for snaps. And in personnel, there's a decision window that's no longer theoretical. Do you buy insurance at corner and edge now, or bet on internal growth and pray your pass rush still gets home when the wind off the lake turns every football into a brick? Let's decode it. What's confirmed is the intent. Detroit is treating the back end like a high-wire act. No needless heroics in August if it risks December. That's smart, not soft. Soft tissue tightness and chest to upper body management can turn a sprain into a storyline if you get macho with it. The staff is staggering reps, using split field looks in practice to keep the coverage shell coherent, even when a primary piece throttles down. That's the chess inside the noise. What's probable? The wideout rotation will open with a veteran presence, not just to serve as a safety valve for Goff, but to teach spacing when defenses hide coverage and squeeze windows late in the down. Veteran eyes steal first downs. That pushes the rookies and the burner types to win on detail, landmarks, stems, leverage. If the veteran sticks the landing, Ben Johnson can keep the call sheet balanced. Play-action teeth, intermediate in-breakers, shot play geometry that demands the post-safety actually move his feet. What's speculative but credible? Exploratory calls on an outside corner with press chops and on a rotational edge who can collapse pocket depth when the starter needs a blow. Exploratory doesn't mean desperate. It means self-aware. Good teams don't wait for the dam to crack. They sandbag before the storm, the ripple map. Start with the secondary. When your rangy safety is at 95% instead of 100, your nickel's trigger matters more. That means pattern match rules tighten, midpoint the verticals, robot the crosser, and live with rally and tackle instead of chasing picks that aren't there. It also means you tweak the rush. If edge depth is thinner than you'd like, you manufacture heat without selling the house. Creeper pressures, simulated looks, green dog rules that activate when the back stays in. That keeps 7 in coverage on a down-to-down basis while still taking away the quarterback's stepping stone. Trenches time, because in Detroit it always is. Protection is the truth serum. When the ball must come out on time, your backs have to scan like grown men and your guards have to sort games without blinking. If that happens, this offense can bully again. Gap schemes that dent a front. Duo fits that force safeties to tackle. Then the dagger, overwrought behind an overzealous linebacker. 9-ball when the corner starts peeking. The veteran wideout's presence tilts that math. He wins late in the route, and late wins are red zone points. So why the urgency? Because the calendar lies. It whispers, there's time. There isn't. The division is winnable. But it's also a trap. A half-healthy secondary in September becomes a blueprint for every quarterback with a half-decent arm in October. You don't want manage it to morph into cover for it. You want it to become forgot about it. Let's go inside the 2 doors the front office is staring at. Door A, stand pat. Trust the room. You bet on player development, load management, and a scheme that hides a thin spot until it isn't thin. Upside, you keep your powder dry, preserve assets, and send a message that this roster was built to withstand bumps. Risk, 1 hamstring tug in week 2 and you're duct taping matchups on 3rd down. Door B, proactive insurance. You bring in a veteran corner with 1,000 snaps of press bail in his bones and a rotational edge who plays through the ribcage of tackles, not around them. Upside, your 3rd and medium call sheet gets nastier. Your 2-minute defense stops living on a prayer. Risk, you eat cap in August that you may want in November, and a newcomer steals snaps from a kid who might be ready if you let him be. What does this mean for the offense? 2 things. First, complementary football is no longer a buzzword. It's a contract. If the pass rush is youthful and the back end is on a pitch count, you don't give opponents 12 possessions. Own the ball, 10 play drives, 4 yards in mud, play action venom when safeties cheat. Second, red zone ruthlessness. Field goals keep doors open for teams that don't deserve to be invited in. Detroit's identity has to be heavy and inevitable. Condensed splits, motion to reveal man zone, flood the backside with a tight end who blocks like a guard and leaks like a thief. All right, here's where we draw the line between fact and fever. Fact, Detroit is managing a key defender's workload. A veteran WR has leveled up to full-speed participation. The staff is installing contingency packages that lean on disguise rather than volume blitz. Fact, the decision window on external reinforcements is open right now, not in theory, but on phones and whiteboards. Speculation, the exact names and price points. Speculation, whether the front office pulls the trigger now or lets week 1's tape make the argument. That's where the whispers live, not in doctored screenshots or runway sightings. The biggest risk no one's talking about? Special teams geometry. When snaps at safety and corner are managed, your punt and kick coverage units inherit the strain. You start protecting starters from 3rd phase snaps, your lane integrity phrase, and hidden yards leak. Don't be surprised if a back-end pickup, if it comes, doubles as a core 4 demon. That's not a luxury. It's a leak plug. Now, the heartbeat question. Are the Lions still the bully? You're the bully if 4th and 1 is a running joke in your favor, and if your pass rush doesn't need a weather report to win. Edge depth matters here, not just for sacks, but for the prosecution of every snap. When a backup can dent the pocket on the quarterback's 3rd hitch, coordinators stop calling long-developing glitz. The veteran ad at edge, even as a 20-snap mercenary, flips the 3rd quarter math. There's also the human layer. A managed tag can play games with a room. If it lingers, guys start pressing, trying to be heroes. Coaches combat that with clarity. Spell it out. Rules, rotations, roles. One thing this staff has earned is credibility when it comes to telling players the why. That matters more in the dog days than any hype video. My read as a blue-collar believer who counts yards after contact like loose change on a shop floor. I lean door B with restraint. One clean, culture-fit corner who can live on an island when you tilt the coverage elsewhere, and one edge who compresses launch points without busting contain. Not splash, not sizzle, substance. If the price turns silly, walk away. But if it's fair, you pay today so that a winnable game in November doesn't hinge on a practice squad prayer. Now I want yours. If the front office makes just one move, where do you point the checkbook? Outside corner, rotational edge, or a big slot who bullies linebackers on third down? And if you're Doré all the way, tell me why the room's ready. Drop your take below, name your X factor, and tell me the moment you circle on the schedule where this decision pays off or comes back to bite. For those asking, what's the worst case if we do nothing? It's not doom. It's drift. The defense bends a little more, the offense has to play a little faster, special teams bleed 10 hidden yards that become 3 points. That's how good seasons wobble. Conversely, what's the best case if we add smart margin? That thin, precious margin great teams build and lean on when December gets mean. Bottom line, nothing about tonight says panic. It says precision. It says the Lions have earned the right to think like contenders and act like them, ruthless with timelines, honest about weak spots, and merciless about turning small cracks into fresh welds. That's how blue-collar football becomes playoff football, my opinion. Stamped in motor oil and snow, make the surgical add at corner, kick the tires on an edge who wins with hands, not headlines. And keep the veteran wideouts snap count tethered to red zone payoffs. Let the room breathe everywhere else. Trust the line, feed the backs, punish the flat, and make every third down decision look like a dentist appointment for the other guys. You're watching Lions News Fan Report, where we don't flinch on fourth down. If you felt that pulse quicken while we walk the edge tonight, smash that like, subscribe, and share this with the friend who tapes eye black before Thanksgiving dinner. City of Detroit, keep your chin up and your pads low. The line between breakthrough and heartbreak is as thin as a left tackle's first kick step, and right now, the Lions control the footwork.